Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm your host, the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Near and Far. Now, Near and Far was designed and the art was all done by Ryan Lockett. His name is right there. And it was published by Red Raven Games, which of course is Ryan Lockett's company, if you're not familiar with them. Now, Near and Far is a bit of a storytelling and also a adventure game, but it has a lot of elements from other things as well, such as worker placement and resource management in it. It is a game that has many ways to play. You can play one-off, which is called arcade mode, where you can just pick a map and go adventuring on it. Or there are two different campaign modes. There is story mode, where you actually have a specific story to play out for what character you choose to be. Or there is adventure mode, where you play out the adventures that are on the particular map. Now, this game is listed as being for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, and as 90 to 120 minutes. So I'm going to start there. Now, this game plays quite well at 2, 3, and 4 players. There is one slight rule difference at 2 players, which is that there is a generic hero token is put on one of the spaces in town so that there will be more need for duels to happen than there would have normally been in a 2-player game, because duels are a rather important part of moving around while you're in town. But it doesn't change the game that much, and generally speaking, it plays just as well at 2 players as it does at 3 and 4. Now, as for the 13 and up, the reason for this is this game is really meant to be played as like an RPG light or adventure style game, and there's a fair amount of bookkeeping involved in that. You have to keep track of your experience and then buy special abilities and keep track of those. And also in the game itself, there's a fair amount of prep you have to do in town to be ready to go out and go adventuring. So that, you know, there's a lot to keep track of. And while someone who's younger than that might understand the basic concepts, they might not be able to play very well without help. So 13 is a good starting point for this game. I thoroughly agree with that statistic. As for the 90 to 120 minutes, that feels like a good estimate for the 2 to 3 players. 4 might go a little longer than that. It's not a terrible estimate. It just might be a little bit short. Because at 2 players, it generally goes 90 to 120, closer to the 90 mark. At 3 players, you're getting much closer to the 120 mark. And at 4, it might go maybe as high as 145. But yeah, it's not too bad an estimate, but it is a little short. Now, I don't want to show too many of the components here during the intro to this video, and that's mainly because this game comes with tons of components, and not all of them are even used in every version of the game. Some of them are specific to certain versions. So instead, I'm just going to show the rule book, and then you're going to see the components that you would play in a normal game of this out on the table as I show how to play the game. So now the rule book is full color, and it is beautiful. It is filled with illustrations. It has tons of diagrams to show you what it's talking about, as well as examples. This is a very well done rulebook. Even though this is a fairly advanced game, a single read through of this rulebook and I was ready to play. It was incredibly well done. They do have a basic scenario in here, which they recommend for your first game, which is kind of a one-off scenario, but not really playing with the arcade mode. And then you would go from there to playing one of the campaigns or playing one-offs with the arcade mode if you wanted. And that's going to be the scenario I'm going to show you how to play in, so I don't spoil any of the adventures that go on in the campaign mode for you. So let's head to the table. I'm going to show you all the components while we're talking about how the game plays, and I'm going to show you how to play the game. We're going to run you through a few turns so you can see how this game works, and then afterwards we're going to come back here. I'm going to talk about how the game feels. I'm going to review it and rate it, and we're going to get a second opinion from Lynn. Okay, so here you can see a setup for a 2-player game of Near and Far. Now, the first thing you do to set up is you got to put out your town board. Now, the town board is 2-sided. This is the basic side. The other side is the advanced side and includes a couple of more advanced rules. This game has lots of advanced and optional rules. that you can use to make the game more complicated. But for this example, we're going to stick with the basic rules all around. Now, this is the book that it is a total book full of boards. There's many, many pages here, and this is set to the most basic board, the Golgo Caverns board, which is a fairly basic adventure that is not even used for either of the campaigns. It's just sort of used as a tutorial to teach you how to play the game. The next thing you have to do is place a number of quest markers on spaces on the board that have a little open book symbol on them. The quest markers themselves look like little books. Then you have to set up your own personal board, and your own personal board is set up with your animal companion in one of the party slots. The animal companion can either be a dog or a cat, but they are exactly the same. Each one gives you 2 hearts, 1 search icon, which is the little eye there, and 1 skill icon, which is the little hand. Now, for your party, you're allowed to have up to 4 members in your party at any given time, but as you can see from these flags here, you have 1 of each of the factions. You can only have 1 member of your party of each faction. The animal companion has no faction and can take up any slot. You're allowed to have any number of heroes, but the extra ones will be off your board and not used, though you can reset them and change them around, which ones you have in your party, every time you leave the town. Also on your board, you have an area here where you start at 0 hearts, but when you leave the town, your hearts reset to your total number of hearts, which is starting at 2, because you do in fact have 2 on your animal companion. And down here on the bottom of your board, you have the tents. The tents are little wooden pieces here. And this is the main way that you actually win the individual game, is by placing these tents out. You can place these tents in the mine in town. You can place these tents to be camps out on the board to help people move around more quickly. And you can also place these tents on defeated challenge cards here, which are like bandits and bad guys that you have to fight out in the wilderness. Now, after that, we have lots of different decks that we have to shuffle up and place out all over the place. Some are placed in specific orders, like the bandits and bad guys are in an ascending order, but the items are shuffled up, and the artifacts are shuffled up, and the world cards are shuffled up. We have a stack of pack birds here that you can purchase while you're in town. The town has many different spaces, and when you do a town action, which your first turn must be a town action before you go adventuring out in the wild, you can pick a location, and it works like a one worker placement. You place your guy on the space, and you can do whatever that space allows you to do. When you go out adventuring, you can drop camps off to pick up coins or gems or parts of trade contracts, depending on what symbol is on the space, based on the number of search icons you have in your party at the time. So you do want, and also the sword icons help you fight bad guys, and the skill icons help you with certain tests. So you want to build up your party a little bit before you leave town. You don't want to just go out with you and your dog or you and your cat, because you might get in a lot of trouble and not be able to save yourself. At the end of the game, whoever has the most story points wins, and story points are gotten in a variety of ways, but mainly by placing camp icons, by getting party members, by getting cards. And the first thing you do in the game is start with a hand of artifact cards, which we do in a first dealing random 5 lesser artifact cards to each player, and 2 greater artifact cards to each player. And then we do a draft on the lesser ones, 5. We do a draft on the lesser artifact cards, and with the greater ones, we decide if we want to keep any. We have to, though, discard at least 1 of the greater ones. But first thing you do is you look at your lesser ones, and now the artifact cards look like this. They show you what you need to purchase them here, and they give you this many story points, which are what you use to win the game at the end, up here. Now, as you see, the easier they are to get, the less points they give you, but some of them also give you special abilities or extra icons for your party as you get them. So you'd want to look at this, take one to your hand, and pass the rest to the person to your right, and then repeat until you've gotten all of them. Okay, and then you decide if you want to keep one or none of the advanced artifacts. I'm going to keep one myself and discard the other. In addition, we have this adventure book here, which is kept next to the board and is full of the adventures along with their options and what you need to roll if you're going on those adventures. And each of the spaces on the board that have the adventure tokens will tell you where you need to go in the book to read the particular adventure that we will read for the other player when we go on them. So now we're going to go through a few turns and show you the gist of how this goes. And remember, you're trying to trigger the last round by being the first player to get rid of all of your tents. And then whoever has the most story points, which you get one for each of your tent, plus ones of the card on the cards that you get, and anything else that gives you them. For instance, defeating bad guys gives you story points. Whoever has the most at the end of the game wins the game of near and far. So Lynn, why don't you start us off? You can be first player.
I'm going to go to the saloon and buy a person with my starting 3 gold.
Ah, okay. And who will you be purchasing there?
This guy.
Okay, so let me see him to show the camera. So Lynn purchased this guy here. Now he has the yellow faction symbol there. He costs 3 gold, and he will give her 3 hearts and 1 skill. Now normally when placing one of your people on a location in town that someone else is already on, you would have to duel them, but there is a symbol on the saloon that says any number of people are allowed to go to the saloon. So I'm going to go to the saloon as well because I also would like to hire someone else for my party. So I am also going to hire a 3, let me see here. Actually, I'm going to hire a 2 cost person. I'm going to hire this lizard folk here who gives me a search, a skill, and 2 hearts, and put him in my party. And he has the red faction there. So that's it for my turn.
I'm going to go over here and get 2 bread because I have 2 skill.
Yes, you get 1 food for each skill when you go to the farm. Now, something I want to note is you can stay in town as long as you want before going to adventure, but you're not allowed to go to the same building twice. You have to go to different buildings. So now I'm going to go to the mine, which the mine allows me to place tents. You have to start on the starting space, and then you have to place the tents orthogonally adjacent to there, and you get the rewards in the row and column of where you placed it, but you have to have an amount of skill equal to the skill shown on that space. So for the first space, you only need 1 skill. I have 2, so that's fine. I can place a tent there, and there's nothing, no reward for the column, but for the row, there is a reward of 1 coin. So I am going to get a coin for placing a tent there. In addition, on my board, uncovering that tent shows a coin, which means I get an additional coin for having removed that tent from my board.
I'm going to go to the stables and pay a bread to get a pack bird.
Okay, now the pack birds give you 1 additional movement. They show that by showing a little arrow on them. And in addition, for each pack bird you have in your party here, you can carry a magical item, which you can obtain at the Mystic's Hut. So now for my next action, I'm going to go back to the saloon now that I have more money again. And I'm going to spend my 3 coins to purchase another ally of the green faction. I'll move my dog to a different spot on my board. And she gives me 1 search and 1 sword, which gives me a bonus to combat rolls.
I'm going to leave.
Oh, you're going adventuring. So now, Lynn, the first thing you do when you leave is you get a number of hearts equal to the number of hearts in your party. So in Lynn's case, that's 5. And now where are you going to go?
I am going to go 1, 2.
So now you passed over a spot, so you have to lose a heart.
And
now,
there's a book there.
The way that works is the town space is always free, and the space you start on also is always free. Any space that already has a tent on it is always free, but passing over any space that is not the town and does not have a tent on it costs you a heart. And starting, you can move up to 2 spaces a turn, but Lynn has the Packbird, so she could move up to 3, but she would have to pay hearts to keep moving. So now there, you want to do the adventure. So the adventure is going to be I. So pass me the book. We'll pull the book off the board there, and I'm going to read you the adventure to I. Here we are. You find a wiggling boulder in the grass. Curious, you decide to push it over, and it unfolds into a stone-skinned Glogo. Arg! I got stuck out here in the sunlight, and I cannot make it back to the caves. It is too much. I cannot see. So now your choices are, you may guide the Golgo back to an entrance to the caverns, which requires skill 7, or you may rob the sun-blinded Golgo, which requires skill 5.
I'm going to rob him since I only have 2 skill.
Okay, so now the way this works is Lynn is going to roll a die. She's going to add her skill to the roll, so she's going to add +2 to it. And then after she rolls, she may reduce hearts to give herself a bonus to the roll after rolling, which is good because if you have enough hearts, you know you can budget that into your attempt. And if she gets equal to or higher than, so in this case, a 5 or more, she'll rob him. If she gets 2 more, though, which would be a 7 or more, she will also get a bonus. So go ahead and let's see what you roll. Lynn rolled a 6. That's a 7, 8. So Lynn rolled high enough to get the bonus. So, curse you and your tribes forever, screams the Glogo as you leave him in the bright baking sun. So you get -1 reputation, which is up there on the top of the board because now you are infamous for robbing people. You gain a green faction token, because I believe that is the bandits. You gain 1 coin, and then your bonus is you also got a gem. Okay, now do you wish to place a camp on that spot?
Yes.
Okay, so it costs 3 hearts to place a camp. So Lynn is going to place a camp on that spot there. And that uncovers her first gold coin there. So she also gets to get a bonus gold coin. Would you put that?
The camp has a coin too.
And the camp, yes, you placed the camp has a coin symbol, which means she also gets a coin based on the number of search icons in her party. How many search icons?
I only have 1.
You have 1, which is the little eye icon, the little open eye. So you get another gold coin. Okay, place that back down. It is now my turn. I am going to, let me see here. I'm going to go back to the mines in town here and place another camp in the mines. I have 2 skill in my party, so I'm going to place it on this 2 spot here, which also uncovers a coin on my board, so that gives me a coin. And for the space I placed it in, it gives me a gem and another coin. So I'm going to take those as well, and I'm done.
I'm going to go back to town.
Now, when you go to town from the board, you can go there from anywhere, and you can go for free. And where are you going in town?
I went to the saloon. I'm going to buy this person.
Buying another person for your party. Very good. Okay, I'm going to, let me see here. I'm going to go to the farm, and I have 2 skills, so I'm going to get 2 food.
I'm going to leave again.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have 7 hearts.
7 hearts? Oh, very good.
I'm going to go 1, 2. And there's a adventure.
And you're going to do another adventure out on the world map, which is Adventure E. Let's see. So I'm going to turn to E here. And near the town of above, you come upon some townsfolk that have captured a skinny boy wearing animal furs. He's a savage. His kind burned our last village, says a fierce-eyed woman. I am not a savage, says the boy. We do what we must to survive, just as you do. How many Glogos have you robbed since you founded your village here? Now, your options are Combat 6, you can fight the villagers to free the boy, or Skill 5, you convince the town folk to let the boy go as a first step towards peace. Which would you like to do?
Skill 5, since I have no combat.
So now you've got a lot of skill.
I have 4 skill.
Oh, my goodness. Go right ahead. Okay, so you got a 3.
7 total.
So that's 7. So you got the bonus again. So they send the boy on his way. Be sure to tell your people what happened here, says the fierce-eyed woman grumpily. You gain 1 reputation, a yellow faction token, which, by the way, those give you a discount when hiring people of their faction in town. And then for your bonus, you also gain another 2 reputation. So, wow, you just, you went quite positive on the reputation.
I'm going to make a camp there.
Which costs you 3 more. And then, let's see what you've got there. So that gets...
Gives me a gold, and it's a trade route.
So you have the first half of a trade route. Now, this is the chili pepper trade route, as a picture of the chili peppers. Now, if both halves of the chili pepper trade route have camps on them, the other one is over here, and if both the camps are yours, you will get the larger amount of points listed up there on the trade route area here, which for this map is 9. However, if one of them belongs to someone else, each of you get the lower amount of points, which is 3 at the end of the game. So now it is my turn, and I've decided I'm going to leave town. I want to go and do a little adventuring as well. So I can move up to 2 spaces when I go out and about in the world, and I'm going to go out, and I'm going to go...
To adjust your hearts.
Yes, I get 2, 4, 5 hearts. And I'm just going to go 1 space here, and I want to build a tent. So I'm going to drop a tent off, but that gets me gold coins equal to my number of search, which is 3, so I get 3 gold coins. And that's it for my turn.
I am going to move 1 this way.
Now you cross the treasure, so you may draw a treasure card. Which one did you get?
I got the carrot basket. Gain 1 food when you leave town.
Oh, very nice. So now Lynn may hold that because she has a pack bird. Now the treasure icons are on the board, and whenever you cross them, you can pick up a treasure, and then you can choose which one to keep as long as you have pack birds to hold them. However, if there's a camp on both sides of the treasure, no one can get treasure anymore. The same thing can be said for over here. These are the danger icons where you have to fight bandits and such. If there's a camp on both sides, no one has to fight the bandits any longer either.
I'm going to make a camp there.
Okay.
And that has a gold on it.
Well, I just realized I forgot to reduce my points, my hearts by 3 for pacing and camp there myself. Okay, I'm going to go back to town, and I'm going to go to the saloon, and I'm going to pay 4 gold to buy that rather expensive yellow faction hero there. Added him to my party. He's yellow faction. He gives me another search as well as a combat. So he's quite good. And I'm going to place him there. Now this, you can see, this is how this goes. You take turns. You either go to town and build up your party and get some money, maybe doing some mining, or get some food from the farm and pick up birds, etc. And then once you're ready, you go out into the field and you go on adventures, which will help you to get experience if you're playing a campaign, or just help you to get cool rewards, as well as trying to get rid of your camps. And your biggest resource of all the things you have is your hearts, because the hearts can be spent to up your rolls after you roll a die. The hearts can be spent 3 at a time to place a camp on the board somewhere, and the hearts can be spent for moving faster when you're out on the board, as long as you're not moving over camps. When you're moving over camps, you get to move over those for free. So there's that's basically it. You play this until somebody runs out of their camps. Once they run out of all the camps on their board, you finish out the turn. So in the case of this, since Lynn had gone first, if she finished up all her camps first, I would still get 1 more turn. If I had finished up all my camps, that would be the end of the game right there. And then we count up our points that we got for various things that we did out in the world while we were adventuring, and we see who has the highest points, and they win that game. But this game is also meant to be played as a campaign game, so no matter who won, you also have to see if you got a lot of experience and if you could buy cool abilities that you could then use in the next adventure. So that's the gist of how you play Near and Far. Now let's head back. I'm going to talk about how it feels. I'm going to review it and rate it, and we're going to get a second opinion from Lynn. Welcome back. So that was how you play a game of Near and Far, at least with the basic rules. Now this game has tons of optional rules. You can add in a second kind of pack animal instead of just having the birds. You can have pack tortoises, which are even more efficient because they can carry more weight. You have the options for the 2 different campaign modes, both of which allow you to gain experience from playing the adventures, whereas for a single game, the tents are what you need to win. For playing a campaign, the adventures give you experience and therefore help you to win over the whole campaign. Now, this game is very interesting. It's very diverse. There's a lot going on here. My criticisms that I have of it are mild at best. I do find the fact that the tents being used to win a single game while the adventures are used to get experience, which help you win the campaign, and those being totally different things are a little weird. I feel like it should be a little more interlinked, like maybe if you succeeded in an adventure, you'd get to place a free tent there or something. I don't know, but it does feel weird that the adventures don't help you win the individual games. It felt to me more like they should be more interlinked. But that being said, the adventures are fun, the stories are very interesting, and because of you being able to spend hearts to boost your rolls when you're doing an adventure, as long as you've prepared with plenty of hearts to spend, you can mitigate the luck factor and make sure you win the adventures you want to win, which gets you the rewards that you want and help you to gain experience and win the campaign. Now, the game itself is actually quite solid and enjoyable, and I do like the worker placement aspect as well as the adventuring aspect and the attempting to get rid of your tents, which is fun, but it's weird. It took me a minute to realize that the tents were how you win an individual game of this. The first time I was playing it, it didn't really quite click with me at first because I was like, oh, it's an adventure game. I got to go adventuring, and then I realized, oh, right, this doesn't end until I get rid of my tents. I got to get rid of these tents. So that being said, the mechanics are sound. They're very fun. I really enjoy them. And I had trouble figuring out where I was going to score this. But I really like this game, and I like it a lot. In fact, it's one of those in-between scorings for me. I'm going to give Near and Far a 7.5 stars out of 10 because I really like this game. I will play this game anytime somebody asks, but I like this game better than a lot of the things I rate at 7. Not quite enough to make it to an 8, but definitely better than just a 7. So I wanted to give it a 7.5. And right now, of all the storytelling games, and I'm not usually a big fan of storytelling games, but of the ones we have, this is my favorite because mechanically it feels more like a proper board game, and there's more I can strategize over and use tactics to win with the actual game mechanics in this than some of the other storytelling games, such as, say, Tales of the Arabian Nights. But let's get a second opinion. Lynn, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Near and Far?
6.
6? Oh, I'm a little surprised. I thought you were at least going to give it a 7. So now Lynn had expressed to me that she did not like that you didn't get to do an adventure on every space you went to. And once you did an adventure on that space, the adventure token went away, so someone else couldn't come there and do an adventure. She prefers the way an adventure game is handled in a game like Tales of the Arabian Nights, where every time you move, you do an adventure. And she didn't mind. She also doesn't mind how vicious Tales of the Arabian Nights can be to you with the outcomes of those adventures, where I prefer how even if you fail in an adventure, you're not eviscerated by the rules in Near and Far. So I think this is just a difference of opinion. I think Near and Far is by far the better adventure game, whereas Lynn very much prefers Tales of the Arabian Nights. But there you have it. So 6 is still not a bad rating. It's actually, 6 says you like it, but you have to be in the mood to play it. So that's kind of like half a thumb up from Lynn and 1 thumb up from me. So maybe 1.5 thumbs up for Near and Far. There you have it. 7.5 stars from me, 6 stars from Lynn. Have you played Near and Far? Have you also played Tales of the Arabian Nights? Which one do you prefer? Which of those big adventure games do you like better? And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns that you'd like to make either on the game Near and Far or this video, be sure to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more review and tutorial videos like this, be sure to give this video a like, share this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain, that's Captain spelled with a K, on YouTube. And until next time, game on.